Good morning, my friends. Good morning, my friends. Today I'm going to continue our exploration. Today I'm going to continue our exploration into the nature of reality, addressing, of course, what we're talking about in this series is existential anxiety, human suffering, and the fear of death. Um, I want to caution you that a lot of my ramblings here seem metaphysical, abstract, um, not practical, and not even relevant to the fact that we're facing a pandemic and that a lot of people are dying. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of economic devastation. And by speaking about existential conundrums and philosophy and metaphysics is not relevant. As the Buddha said, when your house is burning, you take care of that. You either run out of the house or you put the fire out. You don't go into metaphysical ramblings about the cause of the fire or who put the fire out there and who initiated it and who manufactured the matchsticks and who worked in the factory and why did they put the fire on, etc., etc., right? So when there's a house burning, you take care of the burning house. And then afterwards, you figure out why the house burned and how you can do something not to prevent that experience from happening again. So I totally understand that. And I also totally want to not for a second minimize the severe anxiety, panic, stress, and distress that everyone is having, including myself, for the world anyway. And we're all trying to help in whatever way we can. But having pursued the reasons for existential suffering and anxiety um, all my life and actually explored it, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about these existential issues, which at some point everyone faces, not just when there's a pandemic. At some point, everyone experiences, the anxiety that comes from the impermanence of life, old age, infirmity, and the prospect of death. At some point, everyone experiences that. And the solution to that is nothing you can do at a physical level or a psychological level or an emotional level. The solution to that is only one, and that is to know reality, both experientially and understand it in a way that it makes sense to us as human beings. So knowledge without experience, what good is it? It's just good for rambling on as I'm doing right now. And experience without knowledge can also be very confusing. And a lot of people who are having amazing experiences of other dimensions of reality could be considered psychotic. As I said before, there's a thin margin between sages, psychotics, and geniuses. And the only difference between a sage and a genius and a psychotic is how they integrate their multidimensional experiences and how they understand the meaning of that multidimensional experience. So what I'm saying today is that I am is indestructible, is imperishable, is multidimensional being. I am is imperishable, indestructible, multidimensional being. I am Deepak Chopra is a process and a timeline in the history of that multidimensional, indestructible, imperishable being, which is I am. I am is having the experience that we call Deepak Chopra. And Deepak Chopra is having this experience. So those paintings, those beautiful statues, everything. So that is the embodied I am as Deepak Chopra. In reality, actually, even I am doesn't embody. It is just having the experience as a biological organism that we culturally, humans, represent as a history, Deepak Chopra. But that particular history has a timeline. It's the history of my parents, and then the history of their relationships, the meanings, the context, the stories of their lives, their relationships, and then their parents, and you go all the way back. The history of biological evolution, it goes back. Cultural context, meaning, relationships, stories, but before that, primate stories, and before that, the stories of mammals, and before that, the stories of rodents and reptiles, and on, bacteria and viruses and plants and ecosystems, the first living forms, chemolitho, autotrophic, hyperthermophiles, little microorganisms that lived on the rims of volcanoes millions of years ago. There is a history and there's a timeline. That is Deepak Chopra. As a biological organism, I am having the experience of Deepak Chopra, and through Deepak Chopra, the experience of this human universe projected by collective human consciousness, understood by human consciousness, constructed ultimately by human consciousness, which is one tributary of infinite consciousness. One tributary, one timeline. Now, I want to introduce you to a very subtle idea here that came to me after I was reading the Yoga Vishishta many years ago, and at the same time trying to integrate what I knew of these mystical experiences with some of the insights of current scientific thinking. And I came across John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment and its implications. So basically, a delayed choice experiment is that you set up an experimental apparatus to look at the behavior of a photon, and then basically you can set it up any way you want, either to look at the photon as interference patterns or waves of possibility, or you can set up the apparatus to look at particles. Is that photon a particle or a wave? It depends on how you do the experiment. So before you do the experiment, it's neither a wave nor a particle. It's just a possibility in a field of infinite possibilities. But then once the measurement takes place, you determine the fate of that entity, which you end up calling a wave or a particle. A wave has units of mass and energy, has location and space and time. A wave theoretically spreads across the universe, of course, with peaks of intensity and less intensity. But that's essentially the double slit experiment. Now, John Wheeler theoretically suggested, what if you change the setup of the experiment midway in the flight of the photon? What happens then? You alter the history. You alter the history of the photon from when it started, because the photon, according to these calculations of modern quantum physics, can take several, almost infinite paths to where it arrives. In other words, theoretically, the photon has infinite histories, and the way we set up the experiment is one timeline of history. So you and I are a timeline of history going back, according to this scientific model, to the Big Bang, but actually there are infinite timelines, each with its own history, and therefore even the past is a construct in human imagination and human consciousness of a particular timeline of history. I hope you are understanding this. So even, cosmologists look at the cosmos through all these fancy telescopes right now. They look at something called the background radiation of the Big Bang, going back, to a few 100,000 years after the hypothetical Big Bang, when space-time and the theater of causality started to emerge. The background cosmic radiation determines for us the timeline of the history of the universe, but actually that's a delayed choice experiment, because we're observing radiation that left billions of years ago. We are observing it now. And as we observe it now, we create the timeline of a particular tributary of history of the universe in human consciousness. So the history of the universe from the Big Bang to now is a human timeline based on perceptual activity now, measurement now, of what? The past, the hypothetical past, because we were not there to experience the past as human beings, but we are now manifesting the past through human consciousness by our present observations and present measurements. We actually, every time you observe any cosmological event, you're doing a delayed choice experiment based on present moment human perceptual experience and its interpretation. The history of the universe that we propose scientifically today is one of infinite histories in one of infinite timelines. So, who am I? As embodied I am through a human brain. I shouldn't even say embodied I am, as the experience of the embodied I am. As the biological organism Deepak Chopra, I'm a particular sequence of space-time events in a particular timeline out of infinite space-time events. But who is it, or what is it that knows the embodied Deepak Chopra? The embodied Deepak Chopra is looking at this, and this is the embodied Deepak Chopra is a process, and it's only one timeline of a process. So, who is beginning to even think about this or understand this? What is it that observes the embodied Deepak Chopra? It's the non-local I am, which is actually experiencing itself as almost innumerable, therefore infinite embodied observers as biological organisms, from amoeba and through every scale, reptiles and mammals and primates, in the past dinosaurs, one particular timeline, etc. I am is a multidimensional being experiencing itself in multidimensional timelines, and therefore multidimensional space-time domains. And one of them, as a sequence of space-time events, is what we call the embodied Deepak Chopra. But that which observes the embodied Deepak Chopra is timeless, multidimensional, indestructible, inscrutable, unimaginable, inconceivable, acausal, irreducible, infinite, and formless, embodying itself as experience as sentient beings called biological organisms, each creating and manufacturing its own unique universe. Every single biological organism has a unique experience of the universe. The experience of the universe is what we observe. We call it the scenery, and you're not the changing scenery, you're the seer. I am is the seer. And to it are available infinite sceneries. And as humans, that infinite also has innumerable sceneries, depending on present moment choices. Present moment choices create the past and the future history of the universe for you. Whatever choice you're making. Right now, if you just sink into the experience of being, don't make a choice. Sink into the experience of being. And in that stillness of the presence of being, infinite timelines of both the future and the past are available in that which we call timeless now, here and now. Here and now is not a moment in time. Here and now is all times, all future timelines, all past timelines, all future histories, and all past histories. Just in the stillness of being, I am. Why is it indestructible? Well, because it's formless. How can you destroy that which has no form? Only the forms come and go. How is it infinite? Because it has no borders. That formless being, in the awareness of which infinite forms and phenomena constantly arise and subside, are constantly born and are constantly dying, is I am. Bhagavad Gita. Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, weapons cannot shatter it, fire cannot burn it, weapon cannot shatter it, fire cannot burn it, wind cannot dry it. It is indestructible, spaceless, timeless, infinite. You are that. I am that. All this is that. To settle into I am is the beginning of a journey that is unstoppable, but that journey can never begin through a book of religion or maybe there's a map in a book of religion or a philosophy or a science. All what I've said can be dismissed by some as pseudoscience, by others as pseudo-profound bullshit, by still others as woo-woo, by some as non-dual philosophy, Kashmir Shaivism, Vedanta, Buddhism, all maps. Man, they are relevant and only those who are navigating territory through those particular maps. So all that knowledge is okay, but it's not useful. The only useful thing right now is to know I am, not just intellectually, but experientially. And there's nothing to do to get there. How can you get to where you already are? How can you step into a place where you're already standing? Nothing to do, nothing to think, nothing to read, nothing to reflect. So why am I saying all this? Well, because I enjoy saying this. That's it. You know, like someone singing in the bathroom, and if you enjoy the song, you can listen. If you don't listen. As Rumi said, I want to sing like birds sing, not worrying who listens or what they think. So don't mind my shooting the breeze, but actually, if you have the experience, real experience of I am, not the theoretical experience of I am, not all this philosophy, then you will be holy and you will be healed. And you will realize that you are indestructible, immeasurable, infinite. You're all timelines, past, present, and future, in multidimensional domains of space-time and perceived causality, because there's no causality in the infinite. Karma, all these concepts are from a very limited perspective and fixed identities that are not even fixed even for a microsecond. Every trans identity is transitional, is impermanent, is ephemeral, is ungraspable. Every identity except I am. So I have spoken too long, and I think I should stop. Let's choose a mantra for today, because the mantra in a way anchors our awareness to give that idea attention and intention. So today's mantra, I think, would be Tattvamasi. You are that. I am that. All this is that. That alone is. Tattvamasi. 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 I am that. You are that. All this is that. And what is that? I am. Water cannot wet it. Wind cannot dry it. Fire cannot burn it. Weapons cannot shatter it. It is imperishable, indestructible, multidimensional, infinite universes come and go in the vast expanse of that, like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light. Tattvamasi, I am that. So people say, I want proof. You are the proof. There's no other proof. You are the mystery. Most of you are enjoying it and seem to benefit from what I'm saying. So thank you. But as I said, there are many things to address right now. On the physical level, on the emotional level, on the financial level, on the thinking level. But ultimately, the only solution to everything is being grounded in the experience I am. Immeasurable potential of all that was, all that is, all that will ever be. Joanne says she met me in Lilydale. What a great memory. Lilydale is dedicated to this kind of teaching. Elvira, thank you. Tamara says, spell that. Spell what? I am. Just think I am. Don't worry about the mantra. Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi. Tat, that, tvam, thou, art, asi. Just a mantra. I, aham, shivoham, om shamo, namo shivaya. All say the same thing. But today we chose Tattvamasi. Thank you. And tomorrow I'll be here.